Hey, how's it going, everybody? Sarasota Tim, coming to you from Sarasota, Florida, driving around in my Honda Accord. I just left the Honda dealer, and I wish I would have interviewed this gentleman I met while waiting on my car. And I just wanted to share his story. In fact, I told him I would. He had no problem with it. I'd like to tell you about a story of a man named David, and he's from Puerto Rico, and he drives a tractor trailer that delivers brand new automobiles from the Honda factory in Alabama. They have a Marysville, Ohio plant, and they have, I forgot the city he said, but in Alabama. And he delivers new Hondas to the region of the Southeast. He no longer drives nationwide. He has in his time. And he was coming up, I forgot the kind of tractor trailer he told me. I said, is that a KW? And he said, no, it's I think he said White Star. And it looked like a big square nose on the front. You know, it wasn't a new one, but it sounded like a tractor. You know, a lot of sound coming from it. And you see I'm wearing my Trump Vance shirt and my Trump lanyard. And he got out of the truck as he pulled up near the service, and I'm pacing back and forth, waiting for my car. And because I'm looking at him and watching what he's doing, when he steps out of his truck, he said something to me that his truck was making so much noise, I really couldn't hear him. I said, I'm just a customer. He goes, oh. And he goes, like the shirt though. And I've already been, told that at least 4 times today. McDonald's, at the dealership, walking through McDonald's, another car through the drive-thru, because I went inside this morning, had his window down, said, like the shirt. And, everybody's shouting it loud and proud now. Before, they were afraid to put a MAGA hat on. Now we're like, wear that stuff. So anyway, he liked the shirt, and I got us talking. And I told you guys that I'd be interested in interviewing people, and I really wish I would have, but I wasn't with my selfie stick. His truck was noisy, and we're just standing there, and I know he's got cars to unload, but he's an owner-operator. And that means, later in the story, he told me he's going home tonight. He's all done after he drops off 4 more cars at another Honda dealer in Sarasota, likely where I bought mine. And he was telling me that, you make more money, obviously, when you own your own tractor or trailer than if you, work for somebody. They pay you a percentage, and, well, that's a pretty Buick in front of me. Maybe I should go look at him. Really is nice. It's a Regal. I'm a geezer now. I like Buicks. So David, a nice shirt, starts talking to me. And I said, yeah, it's the golden age, baby. And he goes, that's right, the golden age. So we go back and forth about Trump. And then he said something else, and he was standing next to his truck. I knew he couldn't hear me because I had kept walking down towards his trailer where all these new Hondas were, looking at him. I yelled something back, and I didn't want to be rude, so I walked back to him. And I said, whatever I said. And he said, oh, yeah, and I said, yeah, we're woke now. We're woke, to the lies we've been told, from our government. And we went back and forth with all this politics stuff for about a minute only. It wasn't long, but we had a few back and forth. They're like, yeah, rah, rah, Trump and those lying politicians. So I don't know how I got on it, but he said, I shouldn't even be here. 2 years ago, he's 63 now. 2 years, he's almost 63. Let me get that right. I know David's watching. May is his birthday, near Memorial Day. 2 years, Memorial Day ago, he had a heart attack. It's called a Widowmaker. One of his arteries, 2 of his arteries, completely clogged. The story goes, he's a workaholic. He's a very fit looking gentleman. He's shorter than me, and he said he's a workaholic. I couldn't ask for a better personality of somebody to talk to. From Puerto Rico, very articulate, very friendly, and in good shape. So he wasn't overweight or anything like that. Said he had this heart attack. Said he was Memorial Weekend. It was his birthday, and the family wanted to do things with him and all that. And he said, well, no, I'm going to go down to the parts place, or this place he's going to get. His tractor trailer needed a muffler. I guess he's a do-it-yourself kind of guy, and he was going to fix his tractor trailer. He got down one step from his apartment or wherever he was living, I think the story went, and he didn't have the heart attack there. I thought that's where the heart attack was going to come in. He says, I thought, you know what? I'm not going to work. I'm going to go spend time with my family and my kids and celebrate my birthday. So he turned around, went back in, and he said him and his wife went to Walmart. And he drives a big, lifted up Ford truck, 4-wheel drive. And he said, we got to the door at Walmart. Glad he's a Walmart shopper. David, if you're watching, you know, I do a lot of Walmart videos. He said, he grabbed his heart. I said, what was the feeling? What were you experiencing? He said, it was burning and hurting. And so his wife says, are you okay? Because she could tell there was something wrong. And, you know, he didn't collapse or anything. He says, and she said, let's turn around. Let's go home. Let's get in bed. Let's rest. Let's relax. And he said, no, take me to ER. So when he said that, she knew. And so they walked back to his truck. Man's having a heart attack. And he hands her the key. He said his wife's shorter than he is. And he's got this big truck. And he said, drive, because I can't drive. And she said, how am I going to reach the pedals? He says, I don't know, but I can't drive. So he got in the truck. She got the air going, putting the air on him and everything, trying to give him some relief. And then he said he heard her say 911. And then he said his wife later told him that they told her at the 911 emergency, look to your right and tell us what number that is. So he says, you know, that satellite is how they know right where you're at. So he said to me earlier in the story that when it happened, or maybe when he got in his truck, maybe it was when the ambulance came. I can't remember. I don't want to mess this story up. But he said he told God, because I told him earlier before he started telling me this story, when he said I shouldn't be here, I had a massive heart attack. I said, those doctors didn't save you. God saved you. And he also raised Donald Trump up. That's how we got on God. He goes, I'm a Christian. He said, and then that's how we started talking about it. And he said, I grabbed my heart. And he said, I told God, if this is my time, you know, so be it. But if it's not, let me be home with my family. Let me finish what I'm supposed to do. This is what he said. And when his wife called 911, when the ambulance came, they took him, and he said they were all there waiting and ushered him in. And the story finishes up with him saying his wife was told, the doctor came out and she says, how's my husband? And he said, on a scale of 1 to 10, he's a 1. He's like making it. 1 in 10, I think is what he meant. That make it. This is called a Widowmaker. He had 2 completely clogged arteries. And he said, your husband was the 1. And they put in some stents. I said, well, what did they do to you? What was the procedure? They came in through his groin, and they put in some stents. And he says, ironically, Monday, he has a cardiology appointment. He goes in every 6 months to check. And it's been 2 years. But that's a reflection. He was 61, just turned 61 that day. Years old and almost went to heaven. And like I said, I wish I would have interviewed him because he could tell it good, and he would have. He was such a nice person. You would have enjoyed meeting David. But, I mean, he had 4 cars to undo, and I didn't want to, hey, let me go get my selfie stick. But I'm going to get stories like that and have the people tell you the story. But it's worth repeating because, again, it's like, look, I'm 66. I'm ahead of the game. He could have been out of here. And how many people we read about and know that were in their 50s and 60s? And Johnny Vegas has shared. A friend of his was 62 or 3, and they found him in the kitchen floor like a week or 2 later because nobody knew. And he told God, David said, I told God, because he drives his truck. He said, 3 weeks later, he said, I'm in my truck, back to work. 3 weeks later. He says, but I told God, if anything happens to me, please don't let me be far away from my family. Let me be back home. So David continued to share, and he told me that his father is 95 years old and still alive. I said, really? I said, the average age is 73 in America and the reason he's not reason he's got an extension because he's not an American and he doesn't live in America. He's in Puerto Rico. No, I'm just kidding. But David said, we thought we were going to lose him around Christmas this year, but I got my 3 sons together. And by the way, I know David won't mind me telling you, David has stepchildren that he calls his children, and he did not raise them from babies. David loves these boys. David loves his wife loves him. He's got great family values, and he respects his father. So he said, I was able to get my 3 boys together and go and see my father in Puerto Rico, I suppose during the holidays or just after. So recently. And he said he's still going. He says, I think that brought him and kept him going. That's spiritual uplifting. And I believe that. David also said that as far as medication goes and different things, he is a believer, in doctor's stuff, but he really is a believer in natural medications. And I asked David, I said, now, did you have high cholesterol? Or did you, there's an accident over here, or did you, he goes, no. He says, not even high blood pressure. He goes, I'm diabetic. I like my sweets, and my sugar was out. But remember, David was not overweight. David's not overweight. He's pretty fit looking guy, very fit looking. And he says, I don't work out. He goes, I just try to stay in shape. I'm very active. I live a very active lifestyle. And he does say he tries to eat right. He has changed his diet on a few things since that. But of course, won't that, get your attention when you almost die of a heart attack? It's a shame that some people, that has to happen before they start taking life seriously and cherishing each and every day, every week, every month. My phone's getting dark from the heat. I hope it doesn't go out. I want to try and wrap this up. So, David, it was an honor meeting you. He would have been happy to share his story. He would have told it a lot better. You would have really enjoyed meeting this gentleman. And I'm very happy for him. I wish him nothing but a long life. He said he told his father, he says, my father told me, and when people say that, my mother told me, my father told me, that means they esteemed I'm going to put this near the air conditioning. They esteemed their parents. They respected them. And I have a lot of nothing but good to say about people that refer to their parents of what good they taught them and how they raised them. That's a good child. And he even used that as an analogy, like I've used before. That it's just like, God, looks at you as the child, as his children. And he used the analogy of like how when we raise our children and they do wrong, we snatch a knot in their tail. I finished the statement for me because that's right. That he's a firm believer in teaching kids the right way. He's a Puerto Rican. His culture, maybe very similar to what I was raised as a Southern boy. But anyway, the moral of the story is he had completely clogged, and he made it. He was 1 in 10. He made it. He values his family. He values life. He's going to start collecting Social Security because he is self-employed and he can deduct things. And, you know, your income is based on your adjusted gross income when you're self-employed, not your W-2 income. So he can still earn. And he needs to, well, I'm not going to tell him what he needs to do, but maybe he wants to slow up and be more at home and only do a few deliveries of cars, you know, because he works for himself. So that, like he said, that he prayed to God that if anything did happen, he hopes that God would have him at home, not out on the road or something like that, with his family. And so it was a wonderful testimony. It was really just a great way to have a conversation. It all started from this right here, this shirt, of which I could have had more conversations with this morning. I don't mean to offend anybody that may not be a fan of our president, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're a moron if you don't. I just want to say, love him or hate him, you got to admit he's doing more than what we had before. And what we had before was even hurting us and doing nothing. So on that case, that's all I want to say. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you wouldn't mind giving the video a thumbs up, it really helps me fight the YouTube algorithm. And I'll try to get some more videos where I actually interview people for you if that's what you'd like to see. Crush it.